was a cause for concern. It was disastrous. In fact, this summer, it made people very afraid. Of course, there are a number of deaths. Now, I'm asking all of you, all five of you, this question. Are you satisfied with Canada's Food Inspection Agency? And what can we do to make it more compliant? Mr. Giuseppe.
I think, once again, it's laissez-faire. There's a worker, an inspector, who last spring reported that they'd had staff cuts, and what was the government's reaction? They fired him. That's what happened. And that was before the whole crisis hit. So you see how they react. I think it's totally irresponsible to ask companies to inspect themselves. Secondly, I was very surprised to hear this week that the companies that export to the United States, they have daily inspections, whereas for those that don't export to the U.S., that provide food, meat here in Canada, it's just once a week, not daily. Once a day for the United States, but only once a week for Canada. We take more care with American health than we do Canadian health. I really don't understand that at all. That's why I think we need to increase staffing.
About an inspector per processing plant.
We need an inspector in each processing plant, and I asked the Prime Minister a month ago. We had a meeting, and it's not the first time. When I spoke to the workers in those processing plants, they told me, well, look, Mr. Layton, we can't do our own inspections. The manager of the company is asking us to just produce more and more. We need inspectors. And it was the Auditor General 10 years ago. She was the one who raised the issue, and we spoke of it in the House. No action from the Liberals, no action by the Conservatives, and now nothing being done in the industry.
The opposite. The inspectors were cut by the previous government. Our government identified this problem. Our government hired some 200 more inspectors. We proposed a bill in the House of Commons, and in the last budget, prior to this crisis, we added $100 million for the inspection system because we recognized that there were problems in it. The other parties voted against this bill. For the first time since this crisis, these parties are now starting to notice that there is a problem. We have been reacting, we have been acting to ensure that the system will be improved in the future. And I say welcome to the other leaders, finally, for finally having recognized the need to pass our bill on food and consumer safety products.
Thank you to all of you. We'll now turn to the next topic. No, please. I'll give you 30 seconds, and then we'll turn to the environment. So
there's nothing more essential, more crucial in the role of a government than to protect the public in terms of the food that they eat. If you want to know how remiss the Harper government has been, just read the editorial of the Canadian Medical Association. They say they weakened the system that Canadians put in place, and really the regulation is unacceptable. The inspections are no longer being done on the ground, but really there's just more and more paperwork through supervision.
Please, Mr. Harper, given the
Liberal writer and the association denounced this position.
Whenever we contradict you, you accuse the others of being partisan. That's not leadership, Mr. Harper.
Association rejected that position.
Mr. Harper, please. No one understands you when you all speak at the same time. So given that Mr. Dion just made some allegations, I'd like to ask Mr. Harper in a few seconds, please, to say what you have to say.
Is talking about a Liberal who wrote that article. That is not the Medical Association's position. The association stated clearly that that was not the case.
Same thing with Mr. Harper. Whenever there's criticism, it's always partisanship. This is not partisanship. This is the Canadian Medical Association Journal. And it is Mr. Luc Pomerleau. He is the biologist who was fired. And he shared the plans that you had to reduce regulation.
We increased it. We toughened.
No, I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Mr. Pomerleau.
Thank you. Now, to all of you, thank you.